Hello, everyone. Welcome to Wingcat Sports, and we're talking Red Wings into basically the day after the draft lottery, but also in the playoffs right now. The Red Wings obviously aren't, but throughout a good playoffs so far for the NHL. Thought we'd get into the Red Wings, kind of get an early look at our free agency. You're kind of probably gonna have a good free agency. Your draft stock is not the greatest this year. You have to drop into 13 every single year. It seems the Red Wings drop. Islanders won the draft lottery this year, and Utah jumped 10 spots up to 4. Not the greatest for the Red Wings. Apparently, we were one number away from having the second pick, but it is what it is.
Yeah, we just don't have any luck in the draft. And a lot of people are calling for him to trade the pick because
I mean, if it warrants it, if you can get somebody, again, it's all up to how things are going to go. Overall, but we'll take a look overall who we're potentially losing this offseason and kind of who may be good players to fill in the space. Currently going into this offseason, you're sitting at 24 million in cap space. Your biggest names that are free agents, really there's only one big guy who you're probably going to bring back out of your unrestricted free agents, and that's Patrick Kane. He has interest coming back. Red Wings have interest with him coming back. Again, if you probably get him for $4 million again for a couple of years, I would not be upset about that kind of deal. He has the leadership that this team needs. He's been really good here. He's still averaging almost near a point a game. But outside that, almost nobody else is probably going to come back. You're not going to re-sign Jeff Petrie.
No.
You're not going to re-sign Craig Smith, most
I didn't
likely.
mind Craig Smith. I don't know if they want him, but I didn't.
He's
mind
older.
him.
I mean, again, a veteran presence, maybe. $1 million contract isn't going to kill anybody.
Right.
Alex Lynn isn't coming back because you have Talbot and Mrazek. I don't think they'll re-sign Alex Lynn. And then Tyler Mott is your last big name who had any impact this year, who's also a free agent. Again, I guess if you really want to, he's 30. You only signed him for
they brought him in for
$800,000.
one specific reason, for penalty kill. That's why they brought that guy in here.
And it sucked.
And the penalty kill was the worst in the history of the game. So I don't think they're going to bring him back.
Well, that's
I don't know if he's the soul.
So currently, what if you give basically Patrick Kane another $4 million deal, you're down to 20 million in cap space. Just keep that in mind. Other places, right? Restricted free agents, Soderblom. You're probably going to get him a new contract.
Yep, he needs to play more.
Berggren probably is going to get a new contract. Johansson's probably going to get a new contract. Worth some more money. You're probably after everything involving your restricted free agents. I'm going to say you're probably going to end up sitting around 15 million in cap space, maybe a little bit less, because some people are going to get improvements on them, some of them are not. Like Soderblom, Berggren, and Johansson probably are going to start making over $1 million, maybe in the near $2 million range, depending on how they feel about them. Everybody else, like Gage Alexander, probably not going to be on the team. We have so many goalies in our system. He's probably not going to be on the team. To Mistu is probably going to get a deal. Again, probably a small near what he has. And probably everyone else, Hannes, Vero, that all those guys are probably also just going to get small deals. But let's say we are sitting near, roughly 15 million in cap space. Let's kind of look at overall in the NHL who you might want to go after. Obviously, you're probably looking for a decent center. Your top center is going to be John Tavares. I don't know if you want to go after him because, again, when you kind of look ahead, we kind of got to think 1 year further than this year because in another year, you're going to sit with 56 million in cap space currently with what your contracts are right now. Right. So 56 million compared to your whatever million now, you're going to have a lot of space. So you might not want to necessarily get all your money into there because in one more draft, if I just go to it real quick before you talk about, or not draft, but one more year, depending on how things go, Connor McDavid's a free agent in 2 years. Eichel's a free agent in 2 years.
Those guys aren't leaving.
And again, overall, just if you look at all positions, it's actually a lot different. You got Connor McDavid on Terry Panarin if you want to give a little bit of an older guy a contract. Jack Eichel is going to be a free agent. Patrick Laine is going to be a free agent there. Cal McCarr going to be a free agent.
Patrick Laine.
will be a free agent. There is some guys up there who, with how they play, it's
Alex
going.
Ovechkin. He'll only be
You don't want to get
42
out.
here.
There is some kind of openings in a couple years exactly when you're going to have that ability um, to sign a couple bigger names too. So you kind of got to think a year ahead as well. But when it comes to this offseason, Mitch Marner is a free agent that people think that we should go after. That's going to basically take up the rest of your cap. You're likely looking for another center. People like to say Larkin is not a number one center. He's not going to be your
Right.
top guy. You're probably going to want to try and find a top guy at center. And the problem with that is there is not a lot this year unless you're going to go get John Tavares, but he is not also going to be a first line center. He's old.
Right.
You don't want him to be the first line center. There's nobody you can exactly replace Larkin to try and get him that like boost unless you're probably going to go after Mitch Marner. Do you want to go after Mitch Marner is the question. Again, he's going to want more than $10 million. You're probably going to want to pay him near max. He's probably going to be your highest paid player. He's probably going to want about 12 to 15 million. He's either going to want to be the highest player or near the highest paid player. And also, Eisman does not like making long-term deals.
No, he does not.
So,
like I said, they're going to need defensive help. I think I don't know if Aaron Ekblad is the answer or people like that. You know,
you're probably only going to go after one defenseman, most likely, and that's the thing.
Who are they going to bring up? They're going to. To me, honestly, you got
Because
Seider,
you're gonna
Evanson, Sherratt.
So this
Those
also
are the only three I like.
what we didn't include in all this was also the idea that Eichmann may or may not buy out both the Hall and Tarasenko contracts. More likely the Hall contract. I don't know if he'll do the Tarasenko one, but that is a possibility, and save a couple million. I think more likely the Hall one if he does end up buying out a contract. But regardless, you're going to at least need to sign one defenseman this offseason. Everybody you hate currently on this team because you think they suck, they all fall off the books next year.
Right.
So you got one more year dealing with a lot of the guys you mostly hate, and then we'll move on from there. But looking at it, right, Aaron Ekblad's probably the best option for you, but Orlov is also a free agent at the same time. He might be a cheaper option over Ekblad. But we'll see again, you're going to be given some money. They're going to probably want a little bit more money, especially Ekblad for, being in the middle of his career. He's probably going to want a little bit more, probably near 9 to 10 million.
And was he good this year? I mean, I don't know what his stats were. I don't think I heard. I think he had a drop off.
And that's a change. He might want roughly the same. But most people, when they hit 30, they're going to try and get their last big deal. Other options, as we kind of scroll down, I wish they went off better player performance overall compared to, contract. But there is not a lot of really big names in the defensive market for you guys, for the Red Wings to go after, which kind of sucks. So what are you going to do? You're not going to go sign a 41-year-old Brent Burns.
Is there anyone they can bring up from the next year's Pellikka ready?
They could probably play him if they felt he was ready. I mean, I know he did very well in the Swedish league. Outside of that, I haven't heard much from Grand Rapids involving defensemen. I haven't really heard much involving Grand Rapids, period, because we kept on calling everybody up who we thought was, worth our time.
Johansson will be with the team next year, so that's 4 right there.
Yeah, well, you have 6 if they don't cut Hall.
Hall, they gotta cut him.
So if you don't cut Hall, you're currently on 6. So they're probably going to sign somebody. Who are they going to sign? They're going to sign an agent guy. They're going to take a risk on somebody. And that's just the problem. I'm looking at these free agent defensemen, and there's really nobody of substance to even care about. Everyone, I have not heard a single one of these guys pass, we got David Savard, Alec Martinez, in mid to upper 30s. You're either going to get probably a very aging defenseman or you're going to take a risk on somebody who's fairly young and hoping that they might play well. I know people have thought about us getting a different goaltender. It's not going to happen, but if you really want to go look at free agent goaltenders this offseason, there is not a lot to really bat an eye at that is speaking out to me. I would just rather re-sign Alex Lynon in the case of what I see on here. Because you got guys who are either just get a career backup like Jake Allen, Vanchek, Alexander Georgiev. Like again, Georgiev isn't a bad goal. Anton Forsberg is not a bad goaltender, but they're going to want more playing time over the two that you have, and that's probably not something
I
that you
think they're
want to
going
do.
to stick with what they got. They got these two guys signed through this year, and I think this is our goalie. And if they don't bring up Kosa,
I don't think he'll be up for a couple years, but
I
yeah,
just think it's crazy to just keep leaving that guy down there. You're going
The-
to kill his spirit.
there's nothing goalie wise that is like talking to me looking through here.
How's Trey Augustine doing?
So, well, I mean, he's still in college next year. He's not going to be doing anything.
Well, those are the two that we're hoping for in the future.
That's what you're like. There isn't a lot to kind of go off of this year, free agency wise. Besides, again, Mitch Marner. I'm not going to go after Jamie Benn. I'm not going to go after 36-year-old Jamie Benn.
Oh, well, for a year, Jamie Benn is a good player.
I just for a year, I don't know.
If he'll sign for a year,
For a year, I don't think so.
He's good.
I wouldn't go after. I personally, I don't think I Brock.
Who's the
Bozier.
physical guys? We need more physical guys. Orlov is kind of physical.
Orlov is kind of physical.
So yeah, we have to
You could go after Brad Marchand if you don't care about age.
Brad Marchand. Hey, he's better than what we got.
Throw him up there on the second line.
Yeah, I mean, what the hell?
Brock Nelson again. That's another center. He's
Jonathan
old.
Toews, is he on there yet?
So
he's gonna be 37 or 38.
now you don't want to sign. No, they're not going to sign for 1 year. He's not going to sign for a year.
Don't we want to unite the Blackhawk glory days?
John Tavares wasn't on the Blackhawks.
No, I'm talking about Jonathan Toews.
Oh, Jonathan Taves. No, we're not going to do Jonathan
Kane
Taves.
and DeBrincat.
We're not going to sign Taves.
That'd be awesome.
No. You're not going to do that.
Old.
So you sign everybody who's old. Again, I just don't know who they're fully going to go after and who they trust in a center situation. You can go after Sam Bennett. He wouldn't be bad. A bad option. He's aggressive. I don't know if he would leave Florida, but Sam Bennett would be a decent option.
Physical, hard nose players. Even more than I'm looking for a guy who really.
What I think a lot of people need to understand is that they think that every single offseason we're going to make these giant major deals.
Well,
that's not
in 8 years. We haven't done. DeBrincat's been probably the biggest deal we've made.
Yes, but when you look at everything, it's there isn't a lot of room to do that. When you understand how Yzerman's running the team, you aren't going to make these big major deals every single offseason or even every other offseason. Maybe something will happen this offseason, but he doesn't want to give up prospects. He doesn't want to give up draft picks. Right. So your best case scenario is looking at free agency and who's going to be your biggest splash. And unless he's going to sign Mitch Marner, it is going to be a very boring offseason again, and people need to realize
like
that.
You said, signing Mitch Marner would take up our entire
cap for the year.
I mean,
for the most part, he would take up
the. Where would you put him with Raymond and?
He would probably go on the. I would assume he would go on the top line
with Raymond and.
Either you could make a strange line, have Kane be a center again, and put Kane, DeBrincat, and Marner on a line.
Well, like I said, the top line would be Raymond, Larkin, and Marner, if that happened.
Well, actually, an interesting line to you know what line I would put him on? I'd make a line you could do Kane, Casper, and Marner.
Well, Casper's a center.
So Casper would be your second center.
So you'd leave DeBrincat up on the top line.
Either you put DeBrincat, either you do Kane, you can't because you're gonna have to do Casper, Kane, and DeBrincat.
Right.
And then Marner could go to the first line with Larkin and Raymond.
Right.
And that's probably your top two line because you want to probably keep Kane and DeBrincat together because they play so well together.
Right.
And then you put them with Casper, which would be an interesting thing to do.
Right. And then you got
Marner and
Right. I mean,
Raymond would be pretty interesting on a line with Larkin, and that might
the,
boost their
the
numbers.
funny thing is, like I said, do you agree with Todd McClellan that this is a playoff team, but
It was.
it's a
They
team that
failed.
doesn't want to play hard
They
when they need to.
they
That's
failed at
basically what he said.
they failed at discipline this year because again, you had about
Well, whose fault is that?
5-6 games where you were there, you were winning, you had the points, and you blew it. I mean, you could take a few games at the end of the year. Toronto, you had the chance. St.
But
Louis, you had the chance.
That's a pretty damning thing to say to people, and I don't know if you can overcome that.
But you want a coach that says that. You don't want a coach that sugarcoats.
Well, right? No, I agree. Do you agree with them?
So
this team simply just did not put the effort forward.
There's a lack of effort once they get comfortable. And that's always it's been the past two marches.
I don't know how you can get comfortable when you're on the 8th seed all the time.
They were getting cocky. They were getting comfortable. They thought they were good enough, and they just took their foot off the pedal. It's not the coach that took his foot off the pedal.
Like I said, they made a mistake. I thought so before the Four Nations. I hate these things where the pros in the middle of the season have to go and do shit. F it. Don't let any of your players play in those things.
Well, too bad. The Olympics is next year, and they're playing in it.
Well, I would not. I would pull out. I'd have Larkin, Raymond, all these.
They have a deal. They had a deal where they're going. So you're going to have a 2-3 week break in February.
Well, they can take a break, season. But I would suddenly come up.
It don't matter whether they play or not. A 2-3 week break.
I would have my guys come up with an injury.
Something's going to happen. A 2-3 week break is not going to be good.
No.
For the NHL, but it's
that
also
killed us. We were.
Well, wasn't it? It was team. It was a week break for us.
We were the hottest team in hockey before that, and then we come back and we were one of the worst. It just took all the steam out, and like I said, I just tell them, hey, rest up, come up with an injury. I don't want you playing in the Olympics. Do something. Get out of that thing.
Well, fully looking into the next few, you basically in the next 2-3 years, he is going to mold a team, because in 3 years. So I know we talked about in 2 years, but in 3 years, you only have Larkin, Seider, Raymond, Compher, Rasmussen, and Johansson on the active roster. So you only have 6 guys currently who are signed here in 2027, 2028.
Okay. Well, maybe that's what he's waiting for.
So, yes, patience is a thing that we do not like to hear about. But in 2-3 years, he's going to be able to revamp the team. He might sign Mitch Marner because, again, in 2-3 years, he has $79 million in cap space.
Right.
He has the ability to shape this team, have young guys up who are playing well. You're going to probably have Danielson and Pelikia up here by then.
Mitch Marner?
Mitch Marner is currently 28. If you sign him to 4 years, you'll have him until he's 32.
Okay.
Which honestly,
that's kind of his prime.
Which is where you want to have him at. Pay him like $12 million.
Yeah.
Hopefully, he'll take that, and we'll go from there.
Yeah.
But
hey.
I think the aspects of this offseason, people need to realize they need to calm down, because there is not a lot going on this offseason. It's not going to be some big major trade for somebody. It's not going to be, you're not going to go trade for some amazing goalie. You're going to run next year with Mrazek and Talbot. Talbot played well this year. If people forget, I know every single comment I saw in every game we lost complained that Talbot sucked. If you don't remember, in the beginning of the year last year, he was a top 3 goalie.
Right. Oh, no, I thought Talbot played well. We need fantastic. A better defensive core.
He is 37 years old. He can't be doing backflips.
He's not going to be as good. All we can hope for is that he's the same. I don't think he's not getting any better.
I think if you could put a good defense in front of both of them.
Mrazek, you know what that guy is. He'll have a great.
His best years were in Detroit, which is the funny thing. When he left Detroit's when he started sucking. So funny enough, maybe he'll have a resurgence, but you need to get a defense. I've been saying it for the past 2 years.
And you
can't blame the goalie.
A chance to come up, I think.
Kosa is going to come up in case of an injury, but besides that, and it probably will. Again, you have Cam Talbot and Peter Mrazek. They're both old. They're going to pull something eventually this season. And Kosa is going to have to come up in a backup role. One of them is going to get hurt this year for a period of time. It's going to happen. They're old. They don't have the flexibility they used to. They can't be doing all these big moves in that without pulling something. You got to give them their rest. They're going to get hurt probably at some point, at least one of them. and you're probably going to lean on Costa this year. And you're
I hope
going to
so.
see if he's it.
Well, I'm just hoping the kid does well.
But longer video than we usually do. But, there's a lot to say. We haven't talked about the Wings in a bit. Try to get at least every other week because, again, it's somewhat in the slow time of year for the Red Wings. We are in the playoffs. But once the offseason starts, we'll start getting deeper into rumors. With all that being said, though, if you like what you see, like, comment, subscribe. Let us know what you think about the Wings, what they should do this offseason. And until next time, we'll see everybody soon.